welcome to the fundamentals of real estate. I think we're going to have some fun today, so I'm super excited. I'm your host today, Angela Dillmon with Keller Williams Realty Chesterfield, and this is my wealth building partner,
Glen Calvin with Gil Morgan. Yes, this is the day we've been waiting for. We've worked so hard to get here.
We have.
Yes.
We are here to help you build wealth,
Leave legacies that matter,
and live your dream lifestyle, which hopefully this is a closing day that
Yes.
you're going to be happy about your dream lifestyle,
I
your
mean,
next dream lifestyle in whatever stage of life you're in, right?
Right, yeah.
First home, second home,
We started
whatever.
clicking around the internet.
All
We
right,
got a
so
pre-approval.
we've likened this to a wedding
Yes.
day. All right, so we've done a lot of planning. We've crunched a lot of numbers.
Yep.
We probably maybe even shed a tear or two. I don't
Yeah,
know.
apparently
There's
had
some stress.
some angst-
There's some
angst.
stress, right?
Always
Involved
stress.
with the wedding day, and so it is for closing day, right? You're excited,
But they're big numbers.
but you're a little nervous too.
Yeah, they're big numbers. It's a lot of money to be
Unless
committed
you've done it multiple times where it's
Right.
no big deal, you could have a lot of emotions going on like a wedding day.
Yes.
Now, I got a question. If it's like a wedding day, do I have to pay for everybody doing everything as a buyer? They're going to pay everybody's everything, like weddings?
No.
Oh, okay, good. I only got to pay for what? My stuff?
Yes.
All right, I don't have to pay anybody
Right.
else's stuff,
No.
just my stuff. I don't have to pay the seller stuff.
Right.
And wait a minute, but can I change my mind? Because like when you're at a wedding, you can change your mind all the way up till you say
Does anybody
I do,
here
right?
object? Yes.
All right, so can I do that when I close? Do I have a 3-day right of rescission like I do when I
You
buy
do
a
not.
car?
And that's why we call it a closing. You cannot rescind. Once you've signed the note and the deed of trust, it's been notarized, given to the closer, it's a done deal. And it has to be done because the sellers, they have obligations too. This is final.
Right.
We've bought this home. We've brought our money in. The people are expecting to get their money. They're going to buy another house. It's done. There's no coming back the next day.
You do want to refinance, and that's the difference.
Right.
Because I can get a home loan where there is a right of rescission, but we'll talk about refinance next week.
Yeah,
but
refinance,
that's
but this is final.
This is purchase. Purchase, there's no 3-day
Right.
right. Okay. What do I need to bring? How do I know what I need to bring?
So you need to be there, right? We talked a little bit. There's no dress code. You don't have to wear a suit and tie or tuxedo.
Okay, no.
We figure you're moving.
Wear your shorts and your t-shirt.
Nobody really cares what you're wearing. You're going to need a valid identification.
All right. So we want to make sure it's not expired.
Oh,
Please check your driver's license. It does happen.
We can use a passport. We can use a Missouri ID. We can't
Okay.
use a credit card with a picture. We can't use a utility bill. It has to be a valid ID.
Bill. You have to be notarized. So there you go.
Right.
Now, as far as what else do I need to bring? I need to
Money.
bring driver's license. Oh, I got to bring money.
So
well, how do I know
You
how
have
much
to
money
know.
I got to bring?
So you're going to get a closing disclosure prior to closing.
All right.
Usually 48 hours prior to closing, and you're going to want to review that. It's going to mirror the scenarios that we sent from the beginning. What I try and do with my clients is anytime something changes, we're going to update that. So we made our offer. We're doing this program. This is what we're putting down. That's the scenario. We locked in the rate. That's the scenario.
Another update.
We did a building inspection. Now we're going to get a seller credit. Another update. We finalized on our insurance. Now we get another update.
Okay.
I'm always going to be very, very close. It's hard to get it to the exact penny, but we're going to be very close. But the closing disclosure, that's the final one. You'll get that prior to closing. You're going to review that.
Right.
And then you're going to get a phone call from me. Usually get a phone call from Angie or Josh. And we're going to look at that final number. It's going to say, this is how much you're going to bring in. There shouldn't be any surprises. If it's a lot more or a lot less, you need to ask questions and find out why.
How far in advance do I get to know this?
You get that 48 hours in advance.
Yeah. 2 to 3 days is what we shoot for that, and that is dependent on the title company getting
It's
there.
tough because the title company has to get questions answered from the seller. They can be short-staffed. There's a lot of ping pong that goes on between the closer and the title company.
We do close at separate title companies. That's not the case in most states. You have to close at the same an attorney's office or a title company. But here, the buyer may close at one, the seller may close at another, and that's why they have to agree on these statements and these numbers to get them to you in time. So there's a lot of variables and a lot of other people's schedules we're dependent on. So there you go.
So be familiar with that closing statement.
Right.
We're going to go over it again at closing. We're going to go over the title company documents too. But
well, what if I bring too much in and something happens at the last minute? Like I got my number 2 days ahead of time, but then I did my walkthrough the night before and there was a little bit of a change. What if my cashier's check or my wire is too much money?
Yeah, so sometimes when we're late getting those title company fee or getting the settlement statement done, and we've got to get to the bank because I can't get to the bank before, and let's just say we were counting on bringing $25,500. What I might have you do is just go ahead and get a cashier's check for $26,000. That way, if we missed anything, we're not going back to the bank. The title company's just going to cut you a check back for that difference.
So there you go. They don't
Yep.
keep your money. They cut you a check
Right.
the same day while you're there.
Right.
When if you
Right.
bring in too much.
So,
So there you
we
go.
don't want to pre-sign the documents because a lot can go wrong. It can be done on certain circumstances, but you're going to jump through a lot of hoops. You're both really going to need to be there. If for some reason, again, somebody can't be there, an emergency, we can close on a power of attorney. It has to be very specific to that title company. It has to be specific to that, not to that title company, specific to that transaction.
To that house address.
Right.
It must have the power of attorney, has to have the house address on it.
Right.
So you have to have a specific one drawn up. This is for people who are people like firemen and people
Right,
like
physician,
militaries
right.
and all things like that. There is a mobile notary that can come to you. So if you are
Yes.
out of state, we can have a mobile notary.
You know, I had one where the husband had a heart attack before closing.
Oh, it
And we actually
happens.
closed it. And
In
they
the
said it would be
hospital.
more stressful to move the closing date. I felt bad. I said, no, it's more stress if we don't. So we
Right.
actually closed the loan with the mobile notary in the hospital.
So it can be done there.
But
So
it's
there-
better, I would plan, if there's two people that are on the loan, and a husband and wife, the standard operating procedure would be for both of you to be there together, because then you're going to know what you're signing. Nobody's going to explain anything. If circumstances come up, there's always a workaround.
All right. So what exactly am I signing?
Right, you're signing a whole bunch of documents. We went over the note, the deed of trust. You're going to sign documents that say if we made any typographical, clerical errors, you're going to help us. You're going to sign stuff that say you agree to keep the insurance on the property. I'm trying to think about it. Affidavits saying that you're not going to hold the lender liable for the condition of the property. An affidavit that says you didn't quit your job or take on any new
Yeah,
debt.
that's a big deal,
Yes.
especially sellers too. Run out and use their home equity line of credit at the
Oh,
last
boy.
minute, right?
We've
So
all
they have to
seen
have, we
that.
have to have some affidavits.
Right.
Another thing on your closing statement, you're going to see your sale price, credit your earnest money.
Uh-huh.
So the earnest money is not an extra fee, gets
Right.
applied at closing. So you just bring in $5,000 less. Let's say you put down $5,000 earnest
Right.
money, you bring in $5,000 less. So all your numbers, you have all your lender fees, appraisal, underwriting fees, all those things are listed in detail. And the one thing you do get from the seller is their share of taxes for the year.
Right.
So you do sign an affidavit that is a final
Right. You're not gonna-
proration.
Right.
So it's the latest available assessment
And tax bill. Right.
and tax rate. So what those two things, like we're in a reassessment period now, and some people's assessments are going up. So whatever the most latest assessment and latest tax rate, boom, we're going to prorate on that.
Right.
You don't get to come back after closing and say the tax bill went up, Mr. Seller,
You
you
owe me
owe me some
$100.
money.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen, or it went down.
Right.
And the seller can't come, but in certain
Makes
states
it a
they
lot
can.
cleaner, right.
It's not just closing in Louisiana. You can do that to each other after closing. I'm like, no, in Missouri you cannot. So anyway, that's something that you'll sign at closing.
Right.
And the statement really, it'll pay everybody. Do I owe anybody anything after closing?
No, we're settled. Inspections,
Right.
repairs, taxes, insurance, all that's settled up at closing. That's why we call it the closing day.
And if you're paying cash, you better make sure your homeowner's insurance starts that day.
Yes.
And that you have paid it either on the statement, and you liken a title company to a clearinghouse.
Right, exactly. The title company's going to take in all of that money. They're going to take in your money. They're going to take in the money from the bank. You deposited the earnest money to the title company, and then they're going to pay off all the loans, any judgments, anything else that would keep you from having clear title or owning the property correctly. They're going to take care of all of it. And it's all settled on that day.
All settled on that day, so they're the clearinghouse.
And really, you want to have, I know a lot of people like to use an 1/8% better because they use an out-of-town lender. If you use somebody that's going to be there at the closing, the title company is going to be busy. If she's closing your loan, she's going to give you a document and say, sign it. If I'm there, I'm going to explain that document to you. I'm going to explain how to set up auto payment, where your payment gets mailed to, all that stuff. You want somebody there, not so much to hold your hand, but just to explain the stuff to you and make you feel comfortable.
So after this big old thick deed
It's
of
a lot of
trust
papers, yeah.
and the note,
The note,
then there's all these affidavits that you sign.
all right, all these
And then-
disclosures.
yeah, and all these disclosures,
Yep, we agree with this.
and title company. So the title company is going to give you a title binder.
Right.
So that just means it's an insurance policy, kind of like homeowners insurance, right? Something goes wrong at the title after you own it, then they're going to come help you out, right? They're going to insure you from
So-
the day of closing backwards,
Backwards, right.
not forwards. They guarantee all the taxes have been paid. Nobody has a right to somebody else doesn't have a right to the property,
Yep.
ownership rights.
And really, I break
Right,
that closing down
liens.
into two phases. One is the lending phase. And back
Right.
in the day, you used to go to the bank first and sign your papers and then go to the
did.
title company. We don't do that anymore. So the lenders at they'll go with the
Right.
lender package, which is a lot more documents than title. when you get to the title, it's going to be the settlement statement, which I love because it's a clear, concise debits and credits. It's the exact
Well, the
same numbers
title,
on the closing
right?
side, but it's just a document specific to that title company. It's also the document that's signed by the closer that proves that you closed on the house that day.
Right. And so the title binder is very, very important because they're going to mark all that up.
Yes.
And but after closing,
They'll mail that to you.
they'll mail
It's
that to you.
about
It's
6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks with the warranty deed,
Right.
which is what transfer title, the instrument that transfer title from seller to buyer.
And it's
So
a good
two
time to
things.
talk about the warranty deed and the deed of trust are all public records. So the
Yes.
world is going to know that you bought a
Who's gonna
house,
know?
how much you borrowed. They won't know your interest rate because the note isn't on there. But what it does, it's a lot of fraudsters and scammers are going to send you a lot of junk mail,
Yes.
and you just need to ignore it. If anybody needs any money from you,
You
post-closing, it's very rare, and you're going to get a phone call.
Call your agent, call your lender,
Right.
make sure you're clearing things. Because the biggest fraud is pay me $80 to get your warranty deed.
Which you're going to get for free
and
anyway.
you're going to get it for free. But you do need to hold on to it forever.
And I would say we need to allow about an hour for closing.
Yep.
And if you really do want to go deep on these documents, understand them, read every one of them, get the lender to send those to you ahead of time.
Yeah,
so
which
that
we
you can,
talked about on our deed of trust.
Right.
So if you want to go into the
but
deed of trust
we can
more,
send you
watch
all
our-
the documents.
Yeah.
And you can read them. There's nothing you can't scratch out a line and change anything. Say I don't agree to this.
Right.
It's my ball. We're going to play by my rules if I'm going to loan you this money.
Well, do I get to move in? Do I get keys the minute I'm done signing and I can just run right over to the house?
That's a great question. Probably not, because there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things going on. So before we're going to say this loan is official and funded, we're going to have to make sure we got the seller's documents too.
And they're going to review everything.
They're going to review the
All
seller's
that
documents.
You signed and initialed every little page.
Right.
And the seller signed everything.
Then that money's got to move around.
Right.
It's got to come from this title company to that title company. And I know you tell a great story about agents calling you. We're all funded. Please give me the key.
We're signed. We're
Yes.
done. And I'm like, I don't have any money.
Right.
So money has to be released from the lender, from the buyer's title company over to seller. Now closing has occurred. Now you can have your keys. So as we say, please don't set up deliveries on the day of closing.
Yes. You know, we all see that situation where I'm going to close at 9 o'clock and at 10:30 they're delivering my new washer and dryer.
Not happening.
It's just going to cause so much stress, so much
Right.
unwanted pressure.
Internets, painters.
Set that up
all
for the
these
day
beeps.
after.
Yeah, day after.
You know, we talked earlier about a margin. You know, when you write on a notebook, you leave spaces on the ends. You have to be flexible and leave some space because things can come up. Life can happen. You've got to be flexible. You got to have a good attitude. Educate yourself. Review the documents. Just be prepared.
Yeah, and sometimes there are technical issues that happen, and it does delay things. So don't squeeze yourself into a box on the day of closing.
Exactly.
All right, so.
So the last
how
thing
do
I'm
I
going to cover
know?
with you is where to make your payment.
Where to make the payment? How do I know where to send that
Right.
money?
So that's going to be the document. You're going to get copies from me, hard copies from me of everything you sign. If you want, I can scan and give you digital copies. But on the front of your folder is going to be the due date of that payment, which is typically the following month after you close. So we're going to collect interest from the day you close to the end of the month. Then your first payment will be the following month. So today is July 8th. So we would collect 25 days, 24?
22.
20, thank you. No, 23.
No,
31
23
July.
because the 8th
Yes.
counts too, so 23 days.
23 days of interest. So you would pay that at closing. Then your first official payment would
Will
be
be
September
1. So when you're renting
Right.
and you've made your July payment and you close in July, you don't have a rent or a mortgage payment until September 1, so you get to skip one
Right.
if you come from renting, not if you come from a mortgage.
Right.
Just saying.
So we're going to go over how to make that payment. We're going to go where it gets made.
Yeah.
And you typically, I'm going to follow up with you too before it gets made.
Yeah.
Just to make sure everybody's made the connection.
All right,
Because
now-
regardless, very important point, regardless of whether you hear from that lender, you get something in the mail, email, you still have to make that payment on September 1.
And one thing I do like about Guild, they service most of their loans, so you get to make the payment to them even though someone else has bought it.
And the
you
great
can always call Glenn, and Glenn can always help you with your escrow accounts.
thing
and
I
all the
love about
things.
them is their customer service. They're just incredible.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's great. All right,
All right.
awesome. So now, what if I bought my home, my new home, and I have a present home that I didn't sell, and now I need to sell it, and I only maybe put 5% down this new one, and all my cash is sitting in this other one.
Yeah, we've been doing that a lot lately. It's one of my favorites. It avoids a bridge loan, avoids having 3 different loans to pay. You've put down the minimum on the new house. Now you've sold your house and you've got a whole bunch of money. We're going to put that back in. It's called we can either, two things, we can either recast it or refinance it.
Oh, and that's what we're going to talk about next week is
Yes.
recasting versus refinancing. And recasting can save you a lot of money, and not every lender lets you do it.
Right.
So if you want to understand it, join us next week.
Awesome.
Right?
Yep.
Where we'll talk about helping you build your wealth. That's part of the build your wealth part of this, right? Saving you money, saving you interest, saving you money when you initiate loans. All right, super. Thanks for joining us. Join us next week.
Yes, we have a
And
great
we'll
one.
talk more about that and how to get your payment down once you do have a loan, right?
Awesome. Yeah, until then, you can reach me at 314-249-6861. It's Glen Calvin at Gill Mortgage, and
Angie Dillmon at Keller Williams at 314-277-7713. Send us a text, drop us a line. If you have any questions, let us know. We're happy to help.
Great.
Till then, see you next week.
thanks.